Hi and welcome back to the channel for the final of the Halloween movies I'm doing. A movie that I first saw when it first came out and that really blew me away at the time and has haunted me ever since. It's a classic of British horror cinema. It's a movie with a lot of different layers to it, and it is unequaled by anything else that's appeared in the same genre. Forget your Nicolas Cage, The Wicker Man, forget Midsummer. The original gangster here is the one directed by Robin Hardy, written by Anthony Shaffer in 1973, the original gangster version of The Wicker Man. This movie is unequaled, and it also has the best acting role Christopher Lee ever did, playing Lord Summerisle. If you're not familiar with the movie, a cop is sent an anonymous tip that a young girl has gone missing from an island off the coast of Scotland. He goes and investigates and finds that the whole island is living a pagan life, ruled by Lord Summerisle, played by Christopher Lee. They live their lives under the old gods that predated Christianity in the area. This is a bit of a problem for the copper. He's a police sergeant called Neil Howie, played by Edward Woodward, and he is a devout Catholic. Now, there's a few different versions of this movie. There's a 91-minute version. There's an 88-minute version, which was the original one played. There's a 95 director's cut, which I happen to have right here, and which is pretty much what I'm going to base this review on. There are so many aspects of this movie that take it out of the ordinary. There are a lot of horror films that England produced in the early 1970s, but I can't recall any other ones that are as nuanced and as interesting and as textured and layered as this one. The whole village lives a pagan life. They have maypoles and girls dancing naked over bonfires to become fertile. They have sore throats being cured by putting a toad in your mouth. All of the old ways still exist on Summerisle. Just the way they layer that over the Scottish locations is really interesting. The supporting cast is pretty good as well. You get Britt Eklund playing the innkeeper's daughter, you get Lindsay Kemp playing the innkeeper, you get Ingrid Pitt in a little cameo there as well. Aubrey Morris shows up, a whole bunch of good, solid English character actors, and of course, we get the Australian actor Diane Cilento playing the schoolmistress Miss Rose, who gets to kind of explain to Howie what the island is about as much as does Lord Summerisle himself. The locations are beautifully chosen. The movie's music is incredibly crucial to the whole enterprise. It uses folk music and traditional tunes and also some poetry sung. It really does give you this other world, this alternate universe on an island where sexuality is openly spoken of, where people live in tune with the seasons and the crops and the forces of nature, and I find it endlessly fascinating. Now, there's an interesting kind of tug of war going on here between Howie, who is not a nice person. In the extended director's cut, you see him on the mainland talking to other policemen and also going to church with his fiancée, and it's very interesting how cold and how stiff the character is. He's a man of incredibly rigid beliefs and who doesn't allow for the possibility of there being other ways to live apart from the way he does. Because the people of Summerisle are willing to accept that other people don't live the way they are, but Howie isn't willing to accept that other people don't believe in his God. And that sets things up for the inevitable conflict and the iconic resolution to the movie, which I'm not going to spoil in case there's somebody out there who hasn't seen it. It really does give us a different world, and Howie's world is no less based on superstition than is that of the Summerisle natives. We see in the director's cut him taking sacrament, which of course is a ritualized symbolic cannibalism. And the movie makes the point that his beliefs are no more rational and no more reality-based than those of the islanders, and therefore they don't have any moral weight that the islanders don't have as well. And that makes it a very ambiguous movie. I mean, I'm an atheist. For me, it's not a particularly unhappy ending, this film. Whether the Summerisleers get what they want at the end of the movie, after the end of the movie, or not, is another matter. But I find the fact that right at the crucial point where all is revealed and the nature of the islanders' plan is shown to Howie, that he reverts back to superstition. He throws a curse at Lord Summerisle. He then goes and prays to his god, and those kind of things, which are, again, no more reality-based than the Summerisle people and their belief systems. And that makes it really, really interesting. The people of Summerisle give Howie opportunities to avoid his fate, particularly the landlord's daughter, Willow, played by Britt Ekland, gives him a chance to dodge the bullet, in a sense. There are other times when that's offered to him, even right at the start where his seaplane lands next to the island and the harbour master tells him to go away. And there are about 10 or 20 points during the movie where the people of Summerisle, they really do give him chances to not meet his fate, in a sense. And I like that. You can be perceived one way, which is that they are running a long con on him and they're conning him into his inevitable fate. But I think there are a few points during this movie where they really do say to him, you've got choices to make here. Make them and live with them. And to be honest with you, some of the choices he doesn't make will be pretty delightful. But Howie, being who he is and being the kind of sour, humourless man that he is, it's inevitable that he will meet his fate. The movie also contrasts very vividly the Puritanism of Howie against the paganism and the demonstrations of sex and sexuality that the people in Summerisle have. There are couples making love on the village green at night. There are jokes told in the pubs. There is the kind of education the children are getting in the symbolism of their various rituals in the local schoolhouse. There are a lot of different aspects to this movie where repression of human desire is contrasted with the free expression of it. And the movie comes down pretty solidly for the free expression of it, and I think a lot of people watching would feel the same. It's really, in a sense, a movie that talks to the end of the Puritan worldview in most of Western society. It's 1973, the era of free love and the era of women having power over their own sexuality has arrived, and the movie does kind of draw a line in the sand and say these old ways, these old religious ways that Howie represents are not what's going to prevail. And that's kind of interesting. It didn't happen everywhere the same way. It didn't happen entirely. But there is a wave of progress as far as the ways of human hearts is concerned that this movie has definitely a place in. It really is a fascinating film. I've seen it maybe 5 or 6 times since that first viewing at the State Theatre in Sydney in the 1970s. And each time I come to it with new insights and new ways of viewing it. And at the first time, when I first saw it, I was shocked because Edward Woodward I knew from seeing him on television, TV series like Callan. And I was used to movies where the hero, the cop who's investigating things, does prevail. And it was a shock to me when he didn't, and where he didn't make a last-minute escape and the evil islanders were punished in any way. It doesn't play out like that. And for 1973, to audiences like myself, when I was maybe 15, 16 when I saw it, it really was shocking that the movie had the kind of ending that it did. And I thought about it a lot, and it was one of those kind of steps along the path of me realizing that movies aren't just what movies were under the censorship codes of previous decades. They grew, but they became something different, and stories with different resolutions were able to be told, and that just delights me for a dozen different reasons. So anyway, that's about it for The Wicker Man. If you haven't seen it, please see it. If you have seen it, let me know what you think, and let me know what you think about that kind of tug of war between the two belief systems in this film. It really is an interesting way of kind of discussing the differences in people's religious beliefs And also, as I said, one of Christopher Lee's, if not the best, one of the best roles Christopher Lee ever did. And it's a movie that gives him a chance to use that satanic looking charm he had to give us a character who is ambiguous. He's charming, he's sophisticated, but he ultimately does prevail in some interesting ways. But anyway, that's about it. Look after yourselves. Wear a mask. Follow the science. Take care. Here in Victoria, we've had 2 days of no new infections, and we are celebrating. The lockdowns are easing, so that means in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be able to record some videos out in the wild and do some movie reviews out in the countryside, and I'm incredibly looking forward to that. And everybody here is celebrating and enjoying the fact that we've been successful with the lockdowns here, and that we will be able to live fairly normal lives by about the 8th of November. So thank you very much for watching. As usual, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and giving it a thumbs up, because that also helps. I will be back with some very different movies next week, which I'm looking forward to doing. Actually, on Saturday, I'll be doing a very different kind of movie to the horror movies I've been doing for Halloween. And I'm looking forward to watching some movies that aren't horror movies for Halloween. So anyway, take care. Watch good movies, watch bad movies. Definitely watch The Wicker Man. And I'll catch you next time.